Hey everybody, welcome to the live stream. All my channel members and my subscribers. And if you want to chat with everybody on the live stream, make sure you click the button over here. Be a subscriber on the channel. Now, I brought some interesting stuff. Trump and Tim Cook up there on the stage, right? I mean, you're watching the news, you see President Trump in the Oval Office standing next to Cook, and you're wondering what's going on. In case you don't know who Cook is, that's the CEO of Apple. Newsflash. Now, I mean, Trump announced 100% tariffs on chips. And this sounds like a major kind of escalation. So, semiconductors, chip imports, I mean, that's right, 100%. Meaning, if a chip costs $10 to import, we're not talking about final cost. We're just talking about production cost. $10 to import, they're going to pay $10 in tariffs to import that $10 chip. Now, here's the kicker. Companies that promise to build manufacturing in America, well, they get that free pass, right? And that's exactly what Apple was there to do. And if you're a savvy investor, your first instinct would be, well, what's really going on here, right? I mean, that's what we do here. That's what I'm trying to uncover for you. Now, what we witnessed wasn't actually a policy announcement. It was political theater at its finest, with Apple playing the star role, kissing the ring, if you will. Now, let's break down the numbers because this is where it gets interesting. Apple announced that they're a fresh, brand new escalation with a $100 billion investment in the United States, adding to their previously pledged $500 billion that they plan to commit to over the next 4 years, bringing their total commitment to $600 billion. That sounds pretty massive, right? But something smells funny here. What they don't really want you to think about, don't really want you to notice. Everybody talks about this massive cash pile Apple's sitting on, but it's not $600 billion, all right? Apple's only spent $43 billion in capital expenditures over the past 4 years combined. That's only like $10 billion a year. They've never, ever in the history of the company generated $100 billion in net income, even in their best year. Where is this money coming from? Where is this $600 billion coming from? The answer, unfortunately, creative accounting. Apple is bundling everything they spend, the cost of goods sold, selling and administrative costs, all their marketing, all that stuff, their capital expenditures, their stock buybacks, probably the office coffee budget for everybody in that massive facility they got out there, into this one impressive sounding number. To me, it's like, okay, I'm going to promise I'm going to spend $50,000 on my house this year on improving, capital expenditures on my house. And then at the end of the year, I throw in my mortgage payments, my utility bills, my grocery, my, occasional pizza orders. And while it's technically true, I spent $50,000 on my house, it was no new investment, right? Here's where it gets really clever, though. The moment that this announcement hit the wires, Apple's stock price surged last night, adding billions of dollars in market value. And hold on a second. My friend Scam Likely calling. And the moment that this announcement hit the wires, we saw that surge, right? The company got benefits of this announcement without actually doing a single darn thing. They didn't spend a single dollar. Now, we all know the market moves on sentiment. So Tim Cook, well, he's working the political system like a master chess player at this point, attending Trump's inauguration, donating to the inaugural committee, making strategic visits to Mar-a-Lago. Now, let's talk about what the actual thing, let's get down to the nuts and bolts, shall we? What's actually happening? Apple's supply chain, while this theater plays out, eh, they moved a lot to India, right? Now, Trump simultaneously hit India with 50% tariffs. And guess where most iPhones sold in America are now manufactured? Due to this shift-a-roo, they took it out of China, went to India, and now India. And Vietnam. Vietnam's where they make a lot of the iPads and MacBooks. That got slapped with 20% tariffs. So while Apple gets headlines for avoiding tariffs through promises, they're actually getting hammered on their existing production lines. All right, this brings us to the broader pattern that every investor should recognize. Since Trump's election, we've seen a parade of CEOs making pilgrimages to Mar-a-Lago, the White House, announcing hundreds of billions of dollars in new investments in the United States. But even Bloomberg's own analysis reveals that most of these investments, they were already planned. They're just simply repackaging existing spending packages and trends with bigger, shinier numbers and throwing in maybe some coffee orders to boost up the numbers. And the real question for investors is enforceability. Trump's exemption policy essentially says, promise to build in America and you're exempt from tariffs. But what happens if companies don't follow through? The policy has been so vague, it's practically unenforceable. And even Apple's own CEO admitted that the final iPhone assembly will likely be elsewhere for a good long while. Yet, Trump seemed to be satisfied with this non-committal to actually building it here in the United States. So what does this mean for your investment strategy? Well, first off, let's be extremely skeptical on any of these stock moves based on these announcement-driven rallies, all right? Human sentiment at its finest can evaporate like that. The market's rewarding companies for making promises, but not actual business fundamentals or real capital allocation changes. No real factories and big CapEx projects, right? Second, look at companies getting hit by the actual tariffs. Those companies are actually facing real cost pressures that are going to impact their margins, potentially their competitiveness in the market. The semiconductor sector is particularly interesting here with this announcement. Now, while Apple gets exemptions through political maneuvering, smaller companies without the same kind of lobbying power and connections and this media savvy thing, I mean, we're going to face the brutal force of these tariffs for those that aren't so savvy. This creates a competitive advantage for the politically connected, and you got to play the game, right? But at the end of the day, it's all political theater. All political theater. The bottom line, what we're witnessing is a masterclass in how modern corporate political relationships work. Apple spent $0 additional dollars, but gained billions in market cap overnight by playing this game perfectly. Meanwhile, the actual economic impact of these tariffs, we'll have to see for everybody else, right? As investors, you can't get caught up in these headlines, all right? You got to look past the announcements. Focus on real business impacts. Ask yourself, which of these companies are actually changing their capital allocations, all right? Which ones are facing real cost pressures from real tariffs? Which ones are just great at playing the game, right? Because at the end of the day, the market might reward political theater in the short term, but longer term returns come from these companies that actually execute on real business strategies and get ahead, not just headline grabbing announcements made in the Oval Office next to their good buddy. So be careful out there. Permacautious, as always. And I want to welcome all the channel members like Rob, Don, Will, Arturo, Mad, Terry, Svenborn, Diane, David, Scott, Mary, Andrew, Dan, B, Frank, Hugh, Ted, Sergio, Rongamer, Barbara, Diane, Aki, Jason, Andrew, Darren, Donald, Chris. Good morning, everybody. Yeah, it's classic market manipulation, as Chris says in the chat. And I mean, that's what we got. Where is the dark pool notifications? Catherine asks, and that's in Discord. Like the instructions to get there are in the members area, the one-click members area. Go to members.prosperitypub.com, sign up. You know, if you don't have a one-click account, sign up for it. And then follow the instructions to get in Discord. Easy peasy, lemon squeezy. Alrighty. That's cool. Got the leverage button active. Let's flip that off, and there we go. All right, Bitcoin breaking above the level we were talking about yesterday. So that's good. That's good. Looking at ES overnight, we kind of invalidated that immediate bearish setup that we had cooking. Looks like we're setting up the stage to go to new all-time high up around 65. There goes the market open. Wow. Lots of bullish stuff today. Lots and lots. So be careful. This looks like we're going higher. Don't bet against the strength. I keep saying that. Some of you aren't hearing me based on what you've posted about getting beat up and crushed on some of these moves. I am not taking shorts on S&P or NASDAQ. I'm not using those as hedges because they're the strong horses, all right, in this race. I have one on this. It may not be enough time. May need, like, that's the problem with options. Like, sometimes you run out of time. That's why you put a little money on it, not a lot of money on it. If you're complaining about losing a bunch of money on your hedge, you put too much money on your hedge. You went too big, you risked too much. All right? This thing's not broken yet. We have not started down the toilet. We're probably going higher. All right? Sad reality check for anybody that got super bearish. Now, I keep warning, we're likely going to do a bigger downtrend, down pull correction. It's highly likely. Highly likely. I could be wrong on the depth of it. Went through that earlier in the week. On Monday, if you missed that. But we're probably going to come back down here sometime. All right, we just did the longest. Why not bet against NASDAQ and the S&P? We just did set a record for the most bullish move in the 21st century. 67 days on the S&P 500. We rode above the 20-day moving average. That's like keeping your car at the red line for the longest period you've ever done. Now, may have felt like this is perfect opportunity for a giant correction. Well, the market just said, nope, we're not going to do that probably. Tipped off the high probability pattern to go even higher. Don't bet against it till it proves it, all right? Now, I've been doing these put selling on ES every day. If anybody's been taking them, cool. If you haven't, I've been taking them. And let's look at the next one we could possibly do. Today, I don't know. Let's go down here. You're going to be kind of close to the money. I mean, we were down here, right? We were talking about where support was. Where support was. Let's see if this will. That's cool. Oh, there's my option chain. What if I had to reload? Option chain reload. No. Computer says no. Cool. Love it. All right. So 6,200. If we get below that, probably in trouble. I don't know. I was just looking at the cash index, but we roll down here and look at 6,200. There's no credit. Can't do today's. I guess you're late on today's. I put today's on yesterday. I'm all the way down here. Got 25 cents credit yesterday. Now, that evaporated. So looking at until tomorrow, this would be good through tomorrow's close. Roll down, check it out. Where might we be able to get to? Back down to 60.50. That's a good spot. Even 60.75 with a little extra credit there. Maybe somewhere in this zone you could get 30 cents credit. That'd be a pretty good spot to be at. Unlikely that we take this all the way down 350 points, basically, and get you in trouble. It's possible. It's possible, but this is 99.5% likely. 99.5%. That's cool. Things already being weird. 99.5% likely to pay out in full right there. Not bad. Maybe like, well, could you do this with SPX? Yeah, you could. You could. The margin much higher for SPX than it is for ES. Much higher. So be careful out there. And I can't pull up the options on SPX. Just doesn't, TradingView doesn't have them. So, alrighty. Celsius reporting earnings today. Nice move. Right up in there. Watch out for that 618 resistance. Didn't do enough. We got close to the roadmap line. I wanted to see it hit. I've been bullish. It's on my bullish list. It just didn't do enough pullback for me. Margin. Why ES over SPY? Margin. Can we get... Watch this. Tomorrow. Going down 60. 60.50. Right? 60.50. 60.50. 5 cents. You could do 10 of them, I guess. $50. Could try. There's not really anybody playing down here on SPY. Makes it difficult. Makes it difficult when nobody's playing here. ES is liquid as a mofo. If you've never played ES before, you'll get filled. It's kind of wild. SPY, you may not get filled. You can try if you want to. The margin's going to be crazy. Unless you got a ability to do that. And also, 1265. These are not 1265. What does that mean? 1265 contracts like SPX, XSP, ES, they're futures, right? So even your short-term gain, which playing out one day, that's short-term gain, right? There's no way for that to be a long-term gain. Short-term gain, 60% of it counts as long-term gain. 40% counts as short-term gain. Now, even if you played out here a year, it's still the same rules. So the advantage is lost if you're playing long-term. But when you're playing short-term, you know it's going to be a short-term trade. Staying in 1265 area saves you a bunch of tax because it's taxed at long-term gain rates, not short-term gain rates. It's just a trick. SPY doesn't count. All right, hopefully that clarifies it a little bit. And for that one contract on ES, they only hold about $1,500, like $2,000. One contract of this, you might be looking at like a bit more than that. A 1256, sorry. 1256, sorry. I speak backwards all the time. 1256. There you go, Jay. Thank you for correcting me. I reverse numbers all the time. Y'all haven't noticed. Say prices backwards all the times. All right. That's my trade idea for the day. Out to Nomura, down to the roadmap line, basically. If we're going higher, probably pay out quicker. Could you do it? I mean, it's not a lot of money for the margin tie-up, but if you're parking cash, you don't see better opportunities, it's not a bad way to do it. And just doing that every day, you could bring in, I was doing the math, you could make about 45% on the margin, 45% return on the margin you use if you just do that every day. It's kind of crazy when you think about it. Yeah, you go down to a trade that's 99.5% likely to work out. It's not just me saying that. That's what my platform says. 99.5%. Whoa, we'd be like, whoa, wait a minute. 100 days. That means one day you might get in trouble. So you be very careful and you adjust to market conditions every day. All right, we got 200 days. Now we're getting, like, one of those days may go in the month, may get you close to being in trouble. But we're only out one day, so. And if the thing doubled or tripled, close it out. If it got, like, there's no reason to not pay attention to it. If you're getting 30 credit and it goes to 90, just close it out. A couple days later, you'll be back to scratch. You're like, what's the risk? The risk is this thing drops all the way down, but there's also such thing as a circuit breaker. It's unlikely we just rip all the way down while the market's open. Now, that could happen while the market's closed. So you gotta be aware of all the rules in the game, as always. So, looking at ES, didn't reject the 618. We busted through right into the close, tipped the odds. We're going on higher. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So the next thing we got to look at, this is only right now, first move up, retrace, next move up. This is the thing to watch. This is the next level to watch. Right there, new all-time high, probably going to poke on a higher. But if it does it in a three-wave move, which we have so far, that's the next point for a pullback. Possibly tagging the 1448. Now, if we get on up to here, we'll probably come back, retest the breakout, and go even higher. So 6540, there's a difference between 6500 and 6540. We get that extra 40 points, tips the odds. We're going to go even higher and probably match this move right here off of whatever correction we do right here. So it's potential for another one of these. If we get the extension right up here, pull back, could do another one of these and be up at 66. And 66 is in that magic level that I've been talking about since 2022, basically. That could set the top. It's kind of an interesting proposition. Interesting. Now, NQ yesterday went more bullish and caught my attention earlier. This move right here went bullish, hit the 1618, and then continuation higher here this morning. So now we have the same sort of situation. If you missed all the talk about how this works yesterday, I talked about my 2 favorite patterns quite a bit. First move, second move, third move. If we stop in this zone, which interesting, this is a lower zone than the one on ES. So ES a little bit spicier to the upside. This one could actually hold a lower high and still set up the second move down after we get up here just a little bit more. So you got to keep an eye out right here. Could they diverge and S&P go on higher while NASDAQ goes lower? Yeah, they could. I talked about it yesterday that NQ could go higher while S&P went lower. They could always diverge. Right? They don't have to follow the same train. They usually do. They usually fly in formation. So that's something to watch out for right there. It could be the risk. We did kind of tip the odds. We're going on higher, 24,000, by getting above this 618. It was basically a big 4-hour roadmap bounce. One big move, 1, 2, retested. Power to go higher. And if we go on up to 24,089, then we're flying along with the ES, may get a retrace back to the breakout and go on higher and match this first move up right over here. There's a lot more you could do to it. Diving in with the Elliott wave and counting the subwaves and this and then that and then down to the minuscule whatever. I find it's way easier just to follow these couple patterns and then cross-check against Elliott wave, rule invalidation, and don't worry about it. The majority of the time, you'll be right. Now, Russell, a little bit different situation going on here because we weren't at all-time highs. We haven't been to all-time highs since all the way back here in November. This came up to a lower high and a 618 and rejected. And if we take another spill down, this has got bigger downside forces cooking for it. Remember all those smaller companies I was talking about that don't have all the political clout? They all live in this index right here. 85% of the country works here in these small cap companies. Even though the big cap companies are big, there's a lot more of these small cap companies, small and medium cap. That's where like 85% of the country finds a job. So we might see this take a bath here. Why does it seem like not everybody's doing so good? These companies aren't hitting all-time highs. Oil. Got my looky, we poked into the mentioned we were going to do it. Poked in. Went deeper than that one back there. Went deeper than that one. We get through. Coming on down. If you haven't played this, how do you play? SCO. You can just buy shares at SCO if you want to. We can break out. Be a nice little move here. Here's the low. Here's the high. Here's the low. We'll be looking at a pop right up in here. Retrace. And then copying that first move. Maybe something up in 22 area. Maybe like, well, from 17 to 22, that's not big money. Cool, don't play it. Could also come up to those prior highs. Now, maybe like, I just want to play a put on USO. All right, cool. Play a put on USO. This thing's hanging out at 74. Wow, CL's hanging out at 64. So if we go down to 50 on CL, this one might or might not make a lower low. This running a little different. This one's actually been increasing in value, whereas oil went lower than they may. Oil, the futures, we're actually down here testing this support, but USO is up here hanging out. So a little bit different. Now this one could catch up and come all the way down to 50, but something different going on here. So if we just dip back down from that 73, 74 area back down to the low, looking at 17% downside. SCO, 2x leverage with the Ultra. So like a 34% upside. And see, that's where it gets interesting. Could be up at 23. Back to what I said. 22, 23. There you go. May not be big money, but you can just park a few shares there. Buy one, 17 bucks, turn it into 22. That's not bad. Be like, well, I'm going to play options on it. That's like taking your account and lighting it on fire and juggling some dynamite sticks and nitroglycerin. And I mean, taking leverage and then putting leverage on it with options is like playing with fire, unless you're really, really sure. I would not be really, really sure until this price action is below this support right here. We can still bounce right here before going on down. Be very careful. Gold rallying up a little bit. Yeah, that's 3 waves. So sitting this little move right here, this looks like an A, a B, and a 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. This may actually take it to a new high on this little correction here before we take the next move down. Really muddy up this pattern. Big rejection off that. Big rejection off that candle back there. So we're going to backfill it, it looks like. Get people like, the way people talk, maybe somebody got stuck up there. They need to be out. So it would not surprise me to see a correction after we backfill that big red hammer candle thing, doji candle thing right there. I would be careful. Gotten too long on gold right now. I don't think this is the breakout we're waiting for. I think it's gonna be a fake out. All this price action right here didn't finish a flush out before we're doing this. All right, more classically, it's kind of stuff we see on Bitcoin where we get that second flush out move and then we start reversing. Like, say we flushed out to the lowest price and then we started coming up. We flushed out the lowest price and then we started moving up. That's more typical. Even the current flush out to the lowest price and then we start moving up, and we actually overnight broke above the level I was talking about to start tipping this on bullish for the next move higher. Look for that 124, 126 area on the next move. So cautiously optimistically bullish on Bitcoin. IBIT. I have the 69 strike options sold for next Friday. I might get called out, even though I'm expecting to move up to like 71. That high, this low. That right there. Same as Bitcoin. Same level. ETH. And going for it. We might pop up in this zone right here. If we can get through it, that's really bullish. If we reject off of it with any sizable downturn, it's a big red cautionary warning light. Ding, 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 ding. Big red caution. Caution level sitting up there. Bounce off. Trouble. We can get through. More bullish price action, probably going up to like 65, maybe 75. 65, 75. Those confluence zones right in there. I'm not selling on my Ethereum. I did come off the leverage Ethereum. NKD. Yeah, we're taking global liquidity back higher. That was the bounce we were looking for. So next resistance is right here. That high from July of last year. If we get through it, things are going higher. We're getting higher prices, and we're probably going to take this baby up here, 49, possibly up to 54,000. That zone right there. Should take everything, should blast everything off. Then it's time to be very, very careful. Dollar, just messing around. Messing around. We did overlap that prior high, so that tips the odds that that was a corrective move. The trend was down. 1, 2, 3, into the corrective zone. Moved down, overlapped that high right here. Odds are with us that we're going to push this down in this zone. That would make most of the worldwide Forex pairs based on the dollar go higher. Dollar's going lower. Most of the pairs go higher, like Euro, USD. Probably going to push up. Did that one backwards. This one's going to go the other way. This is dollars priced in yen. I would push that down. Dollar gets cheaper. Pound dollar. Look at that three-wave roadmap bounce. Going higher. Potential to come up here. Apple. There's that bounce. Right up to the target. Right up to the 618. And halt. Warned about coming off of the hedge down here. Gave you 3 days to do it. Now here we are. Hedge is underwater. I'm still on some of it. Some of it I booked out. I'll probably add that back in more conservative accounts. As long as we stay under that 618, downside's still inevitable. We're just filling that gap from back here in April. So Apple hadn't fixed anything yet. It's a gap fill. People that bought right here, hoping that Apple's going to be exempt from all the tariff crap. You're just getting your chance to get your money back. And we might be heading down still. Still hadn't changed anything. Amazon bounced on a little bit. Gonna probably backfill the gap, then we'll see what happens. Google. So Amazon could go higher from here. We possibly could reach on up to 257. I'm not betting either way. Not sure on that one. Google, that's struggling here. Struggling. Be very careful. This has been very overlapping, not very bullish up through here. Price action, not very constructive to going higher. You may see another flush out on Google. Meta, reach for the stars. 793 still sitting up there waiting to be hit. And we could do like the Microsoft and Nvidia thing and just reach on up to the next one. 839. Back down here when I said this could be good for a double. We're getting darn close. MSFT. Looks like that was the blow off move right there. Bleeding down. Probably got to come back, retest some of these levels here. 49, 468, 508. So we got levels in here. If we can retest, hold support, we might be able to go on up to that 565. That looks like we're done for now, right there. Nvidia reaching on up. 212, next level up. Tesla keeps winding up the squeeze here. Been unable to break through the downtrend of highs. We've been unable to break down through the uptrend of lows. And we just keep squeezing tighter and tighter on this price action. Eventually we run out of road. 3 possible things. And 2 of them are usually with force. 1, pop. 2, drop. Those are the 2 with force. 3, we just sit here, which seems very unlikely for Tesla. It's possible we keep this going sideways in a grind. Unlikely for Tesla. Probably going to move out of here with some force. Just don't know which way. You'd be like, well, we moved up into it with this move and then we consolidated. Yeah, but what if we actually move down into this consolidation here and then this is the consolidation here and then we come down here? Like, that's possible. And then we get continuation higher from a much lower, higher low. And then it's also possible that the first move was here, the second move was here, third move was here, and then now we're doing so this was the first move, all of it, 1, 2, 3. Now this is the consolidation. So that was the first move, that's the second move, and then that's the third move. It's so variable, like it's almost impossible to tell until we get the resultant move. And it could pop, it could drop. You can be like, well, that was the first move into it. This is the consolidation. And then we get the continuation. That's possible too. I just don't know which way we're going to go. And we keep winding it up right there. It's like a rubber band stretching. Eventually we're going to pop it. Netflix, highly likely to keep this party going right down here. The roadmap line on the daily charts. Duolingo. And Robert, I given that out quite a bit earlier the week on Akamai. I have a 65 put sold against it. Duolingo, nice retrace coming up off this next roadmap bounce right there. If we can close the day here, set the stage for this to cruise on higher. Looking at gainers now, and just a reminder for those that haven't been here, whatever. Here's what we got this week. Coming up the rest of the week, we got after the close today, Trade Desk, Rocket Lab, SoundHound, NewScale, Kratos, Block, Pinterest, Team, Take-Two, Interactives, and Twilio. Funny enough, Akamai not even on here. So my opinion on Akame hasn't changed all week. Pod, nice little pop there too. Seeing these rub map bounces, beautiful. This one not holding, like this is, right now, that's not going to be a close above the 618. That's a close below the 618. That can be continuation. That can just be an A, B, C correction. Absolutely beautiful correction. Pop and reject. That's why we need the close above the 618. Be careful out there. HubSpot. Absolutely beautiful correction. See this, right? A, B. Where are we going? Not going higher. We didn't break above the 618. Let me know in the chat if you're starting to see these more and more. You're starting to understand this. I've been harping on that. Like some people have told me they don't understand the pattern. They don't get it. Hopefully me going through this almost every day for almost 2 weeks now, you're starting to get this 3-wave move thing that's corrective. And why I target these big outsides, downsides over and over and over. I don't play the downside because the market tends to go up. I don't like to go against the market. ASML. Still grinding. Still grinding. David, you already are pretty wealthy. Rich in family. Beautiful bride that loves you. It's all about perspective. Dash popping out past the targets. All-time highs. Can we get the extension? That's the big question. Got to go up to a monthly chart. Now, this pullback, I don't have everything on the chart over here. I don't know where it was. Like before it went public, big unknown. We don't know. All we have to work off of is this low right here. Everything to the left of that low doesn't really tell us anything because we don't have the history. So working off that low, we don't have a lot to go off of. I'd be like, well, what about your pullback thing? Well, that only works if that was the high right there. But was there a higher high over here right before they went public? I don't know. We don't know. We can't know. Right? It could be the high was up here right before they went public, and we're about to hit the 618 and turn down. This structure right here doesn't give me enough. Like it just ground higher. So this is the problem with trying to guess anything off of the lowest low before the lowest low, especially when you have the IPO right here. All right. The low after the IPO resets it all. Then you work off of this. And right now we're extended. We may be able to push higher. I don't know. Like we're pushing through that breakout. It rejected there once, twice. Pushing through. Something like that would give me confidence we're done on the downside. If we just push on through, we still run the risk of coming all the way back down again. Be careful on things that have limited price action. And this is starting to look like a full count. And you look at these smaller moves on the daily right here, starting to look like we're getting near the top. That can result in a big 50 to 618 retrace. Wave 1, wave 2, and then we can move on. KLAC, still likely to hit 963. SN, still likely to hit 135. EPAM, pushing on lower. Still bearish underneath the roadmap line. Still bearish. TSM, hit the target. Watch out for the retrace. Doesn't have to. Back up to the top again. Can we go on higher? Or do we have down to the roadmap line? We're going to come down here eventually. It's just where? Where along this line do we hit? Coming down eventually. Bros. Made a big pop. Wow. So that's the first move down. A. B. 1. 2. Watch that. If that turns bearish today. 3, 4, 5. Right down in the C correction there. A, B, C. So this is a very key retrace right here. If we hold that and turn down, probably coming down here. If we actually take this on higher through that 76, I'll have to zoom in a little bit. A lot of it. We start up through that 77, 70 area, or 70, 7270, excuse me, 7270. And there I am reversing numbers again. So I'm swapping the 2 and the 7. Push up through that. Like we were done on the downside. So put you a line right there. 70, 72, 70 is where it starts tipping the odds. 70, once we get above these two highs, 73.50, 74. Probably not going to work on the short. Probably doing something different. Could very easily take it shooting all the way up here. TPC. Yeah, that's just a crazy move right there. That high, that low. Boom. Out to the 200% extension. Some point here, that's it. Like, there's no pullbacks, just a little hiccup. Probably going to come back pretty violently at some point here. D-Dog. Grinding under the high there. BDX grinding down. Celsius pop. Watch for the resistance. Big picture. Looking at this high, this low. That 618 right there. ETHU. Coming back up. 150 was kind of where I expected this to top out maybe. So be careful on that one. Coin coming back up a little bit. Didn't quite hit the roadmap line. Caution. We came all this way. It's almost a shame not to actually finish it up. Still 30 bucks down. That MSTR, similar boat. Came all this way. Be a shame not to finish it up here. But it could be done. Like, we could just, as Goose says, it seems like the algorithm sometimes on the more sparky stuff front run these moves and we come up shy. Then we reverse harder, faster. Still the target up here around 550 to 600. HG. Intercontinental Hotels. Getting a little pop up to the, wow, that worked. If you had gotten in, look, this roadmap bounce right here. You got in right here. We're sitting upside down, and then boom, right up to the target right there today. Pachayo. Nebiscoop. And then don't like that price action. This could be a corrective move up off the low. A, B, C puts us between 72 and 100. If we go on up to 163, it tips it more bullish though. Hyatt Hotels. Not really doing much there. That's not looking super sparky. Got that high, we got that low, we got this kind of rejection here. Watch out for that. GH. Triple top, quadruple top, quintuple top. I don't know. Look how many highs we got right here. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. It's not able to push through that. Here's the target though, right up there at 62-ish. Flutter. And UNH potentially made a bottom. Talked about that a long time. It hit the downside target basically. So Flutter Entertainment, Carvana. Upside target 444, RH. Resistance here at the roadmap line. Coming up pretty good. Watch out. We need to get through this. We can reject off there and do another pullback before we can push through. But it's possible we just grind through. CRH. Nice little pop there. RL. Coming back down. Support down here at 252. MDB. Tried to pop. Now we're starting to... we got above the roadmap line right here. We got above. Gotta get more price action. If we drop back below now, very likely you come back to the lows. Circle. Be very, very careful. That looks a lot like the bubble pattern. Go shooting up. Chop around. Breakdown. Maybe like, well, it doesn't look like it on that chart. Well, just, go down a time frame. We start getting more of the chop, right? See more of the chop. Break down. Come all the way down. Be careful. It's your money. I'm just pointing it out. Like, that's a dangerous potential chart. Groupon made a big, giant move up. Pushing up again. This is a company I've not ever understood, really. They've lost tons of money over the years trying to make this coupon thing work. Be careful. Upside target right up there, 44, 46. Downside support right down here at 25. EHT, yeah, that's 2x leverage on Ethereum. Already talked that. PGY. Wow. That is a hot mess. Look, 3-wave up, higher low. Difficult. We could come on up to 61. This zone. And still end up at a lower low. Snow. Grinding in here. We hit that target at that 1272. And we just kind of stopped there. I expect this to come back to the roadmap line. Now we could just grind sideways until everything met together out here somewhere. And then without a pullback, it doesn't give much enthusiasm to going higher. My big target was up here for the first big move up. We came up just shy of that. But we have this gap down we've been trying to grind through. It's been providing resistance. See that right there? That giant gap down. That's what we've been working through. Gap downs are giant, gap downs off these highs are giant resistance. We haven't been able to push through yet. Nice quick retrace back down here. Give us the energy to push on through. We're just going to grind it. We may just eventually grind on up through it and take it up here, but not high confidence on a big move at the moment. I really like that, but I don't know. Other stuff in here. Let's see if there's anything interesting. SMH, that was a big 304 upside. AMAT, potential to bounce here. Pushed up through the roadmap line, retrace to it. We set the odds. We're going on up to 283 potentially. Dave, reporting earnings, coming down to the roadmap line as we thought it might. Push on down. Earnings were this week. TLN, that's up there at targets. MU, potentially bouncing off the roadmap line. Came up just shy though. If we can get through that 618, tip the odds we're going on higher. If we fail here, come on back down through. ETN, probably coming back to the roadmap line. Coherence, likely to come on out to 130. MP, that's flying close to the sun. Be careful. Giant move up like that can result in a pullback. TXN, back to the roadmap line. Missed breaking out. Maybe we can do it next time. So that's potential 5 up with the little, and then back down to a 50% retrace right there. We can take it on up. Could break on up higher. So we need to hold this zone. Support's actually down here in a 166. KTB, that's probably not the right KTB. There we go. Bearish. AVGO. Hitting targets. Extension. 363. APPN. Sitting on the roadmap line from underneath. Be careful. That looks like we're going to grind even lower. Grinding down. LEU. Popping, but now we're dropping. Potential to come back to the roadmap line. Root was popping, now we're dropping. Oh, that's getting hit pretty hard. That can come all the way down here. Outset medical, looking bearish. AMD took a fair hit, coming back up. I think it needs more decline before I'm interested in it. This pullback not enough to really get me excited about it. It does match that. We could get another large extension. If we get a close above here, we're probably going higher. These highs are the limiter right now. If we get above that, probably going to take it back to 228 and then 266 above that. NVO, working on potentially the bottom here, maybe. That definitely got down right to where I thought we might find the ultimate bottom. Lots of red candles, nothing green, no sign of reversal yet. I would not buy. Wicks, looks like we're going to flush that one on down. Bunch of red candles. Energy coming back down, probably at the roadmap line. It'd be somewhere down around 128. VBK, yeah, nothing. Net, at the target. Next target up, 267. Reddit. Yeah, we're setting for the breakout. 269 right there. Core weave. Be careful. That's that bubble pattern thing. Now, it's possible that this holds a 382 retrace. It's possible we hold here and go on even higher. If we start below that, support, 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 and then back to the bottom. LRCX, watch for that too. Retrace, find support, and turn higher. Team, underneath the roadmap line, looking bearish. Let's see, rely. There was a lot of, there's like 100 tickers on the bullish list. That was a pop. Rejecting the roadmap line can result in a downside move. XLK, get on up here. 300 next upside. USD, still haven't hit the target. And that's not even the accurate target. Really nice move off of this. Really impressive. 101 would be the next upside move there on USD. DKNG grinding here at lower high at this point. BMNR probably going to come back to the roadmap line. ALB dip below the roadmap line. This is a caution. I warned about getting back below. If we stop here and don't proceed any higher, we rejected that downtrend of highs. This is a cautionary. We may go back to the lows on ALB, Album Marble, how do you say that? Civi, grinding under the roadmap line. That's bearish. FAS, back to the roadmap line. Here's the high, here's the low. We can break above 180, 184, return to highs. If we can break out, we have a bigger, much bigger upside potential. Going to take some work. Let's see, CRDO. And next upside, 142. Sezzle. Ooh, starting to get some. This is looking like it might develop in a bigger correction that can set us up for the bigger pop. I like it. I like it. Like it. Like it. Like it. All right, moving on down. PLTR. Yeah, we're almost to that 186 target. Sun run. 14, 16. FSLR. Yeah, these solar stocks pulling it forward. Excitement. 208, 218. Logitech bounced. 98, 99. And nothing there. AEM. Grinding higher. QLD. 130 upside. Ultra QQQ. Decliners. Lily. Oh my goodness. I was concerned. Couldn't. Ooh, man. Went on down into the zone there. First move down, retrace. Next move down. This could develop into something bigger. Be very careful here. Ugh. FTNT, big drop. First move down, retrace. Next move down. Ouch. Broke the pattern to the upside. First move, retrace, right in the zone for support. But can we hold it? Or do we accelerate further down? Crux. Ooh. Man. Blew that one off the bullish list. SYM. Yeah, that one get. So this one's due for some sort of retrace, but next upside probably up here near 100. Elf Beauty. Ouch. Right down to the target zone. Look at that. Right in the target. First move down, retrace. Next move down. Beautiful. I didn't trade for that, but dang, beautiful. Beautiful. Airbnb. Working on. We're getting to a point where this can go lower low. Here's the low. Here's the high. Dipping on down in here. If we get below about 110, it starts looking like we're going on down. Let's see, anything else here? Adobe, come to papa. Oh yeah. Come on, Adobe. Big. Yeah, not enough candles. About to go. Yeah, we already went lower. Probably going to go even lower. STX. That hit the upside. Scraped the bottom of my target. Man, that's crazy. Toyota Motors. Can't get off the roadmap line. All right, stuff that was set up with patterns today. CDP. Here's the high, here's the low. 29 targets. CIX. This one been kind of choppy in here. Did hit the target last time. Here's the high, here's the low, here's the entry. 30 target. ECL. Here's the high, here's the low. 276. EXPD. Here's the high, here's the low. 123. GHC. Oh, came up shy of the target last time. High, low, entry. 1,000. MD. That high, this low. 15. PAG. There's the high, here's the low. Entry, 190. Travelers. Here's the high, here's the low. 281. BVV. Here's the high, here's the low. 40. XLP. And it's had this set up for 85 for a long time. All right, bias for the day. Watching for that new, I mean, we could grind new highs. Looks like we may come down for a 15-minute roadmap test. We can hold it, probably go out for a new all-time high. What that looks like to me. If we start breaking down below prior lows, that's when you get concerned. Bitcoin being strong, so looks like we're going to go higher. NKD expanding, although pulling back, but setting up the move to go higher. So lots of stuff tipping the odds we're going higher. So things that were talked about, UNH potential, the bottom's in, but my full target was just a little bit lower. So we're grinding that low. Can we hold it? We came down to a 2618. ABC held. Potential we dip one more time. Around 225 is where I got my alerts. But looking for this vicinity to be the low right here and turn up. And then anybody else ask about anything? Let's see. AKM. Doubtful you hung out, but so this potentially is the low that we're looking for, and this may dip one more time. It's possible we see this dip right down in here. I'm at that 65, which is right at the level I kind of expect this to stop at. And right there. Might end up with shares. We'll see. Great job on your Celsius. Like I said, I was bullish up to the 618, but now be careful. Careful, careful, careful. And let's see. Anybody else has anything in there? Good morning, good morning, good morning. All right, David. Great work. There you go. Yeah, UNH, I mean, that's potentially at the bottom, though. Like, more downside? I think we're getting close to that's it. I mean, there's still possibility we retest. I mean, look at that. We were grinding this low here. Flushed it out and then went higher. Now we're back to it. I mean, it's possible we go down in here one more time, but that was probably an outsized ABC. Yeah, I took a short right there. Got out right there. Not about what you miss. I don't short many things. I like to be really right when I get into them. Usually quick to get off. So potential to bounce here. How big of a bounce? Really depends. Another thing to look at right here. This pullback. You see how we did the A, B, and the C was really big. That's what we did again. 1, 2, 3. So it's been known to do this in the past. Exceeded the 2618. So it's possible we exceed the 2618. Talking about it's a smaller little deal here, but talking about this move right here. First move down, retrace. Potential to go past the 2618. Potential, but it's not likely with this consolidation over here. That should provide some support, even though it was a long time ago, relatively. People are going to see that as a steal of a deal. I mean, look at that. Look how sharp that reversed off of that right there. It's not like these guys have, their CEO got murderized and they've been chopping around a little bit with not the best leadership in place at this point. But look at their business. They run the Medicare program for almost every state. So that's ripe for big money. Probably going back higher once we get out of this. Hey, Kimberly, my favorite subscriber. Right here for the wrap-up. Have a great day, everybody. We'll see you again later. Be careful. The money you save may be your own. Don't stay wrong in the market. That's where you lose the big money. All right. It's not being wrong. Staying wrong. Stay wrong in the market.